All right. Good morning. Another edition of Good Stuff Daily. We've got TJ on the call. We'll do a little bit different format today. It'll just be us two on the call. What's up, man?
Hey, living the dream. Living the dream. I'm
Did you get to
excited.
work out this morning?
I did. I have my collarbones all torn up from the.
Mine is like baby hands. Like baby butt, real soft. These things haven't been touched in a while.
I've been telling my members that like we've been really focusing on like obviously at home gymnastics. My wife she's been a gymnastics coach for the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. So everyone's getting really good at gymnastics, but no one's going to be able to showcase it because everyone's hands are going to tear like first pull up, right? Like no one has calluses anymore. So
dude, yeah. Yeah, man, I'm looking at my hands. My skin's been great. Well, cool. I saw that Nick posted an article about how like Kansas City, part of the city might open up, part of the city is not going to open up. How's that looking for you guys?
Yeah, like, so just to give you guys kind of an understanding, like our gym is probably, I don't know, a mile away from state line. So it's funny because like Missouri is opening up, like everything's opening. Obviously there's going to be like CDC regulations and what you have to abide by. But like in our county, which is a suburb of Kansas City, is like completely shut off. And they've broken it down into this like 3-phased opening up, whatever. And gyms are on the 3rd phase. So they're going to slowly open up our county, but all the existing counties around the area are going to be opening up. So it's like this imaginary line is going to, stop the coronavirus from coming in here. Like it just doesn't make sense.
No. And it's just going to put the county that's closed or still operating at kind of a lower capacity, lower function, put them at a disadvantage, right?
Yeah. It's going to monopolize all the businesses around our county. And then, obviously the businesses around here are going to continue to struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just from that standpoint, like everyone in our county is going to drive to these areas because they're opening up and then they're going to come back in here. It just makes no logistical state. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So there needs to be a lot more unity here in terms of, or coordination in terms of how the area is going to move forward with this.
Yeah. Totally.
Either way, it looks like it's kind of inevitable that in the near future, a lot of things are going to change in terms of, businesses start to open up. I'm curious because even when businesses do open up, obviously there's going to be a lot of guidelines in place or recommended, in terms of still implementing social distancing and whatnot. I'm curious on your take on what the impact is of social distancing on like the community once you're able to open doors, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things about specifically, us being in the CrossFit space and the affiliate space is a big sense of community. We all lean on that a ton. How do you like navigate around like not technically being able to like high five a member or something like that? Like that stuff is just foreign to me.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? Because one of the biggest things that we leverage is kind of that camaraderie of our community. But I think if you put these things in place and you explain why you're doing it, I think from that standpoint, I think they're just going to be excited to see actual people that they haven't seen in a while. So as we start to slowly unravel kind of this opening up phase where, everyone's 6 feet apart, we'll probably break the gym down in stations. I've seen a lot of gyms on the CrossFit affiliate owners have things taped out and equipment's kind of laid out in a specific way. I think just from that standpoint, we're going to have to really focus in on our programming on how we limit equipment. Are we going to have assault bikes where they're kicking up air and blowing all this stuff around? So we really try to talk that through. And I think going forward, right now we're going to have a much smaller schedule. I don't know if that's the right word, smaller schedule. We're going to have everything gapped out about 30-minute windows in between classes to give our members, the ability to come in, work out, clean their stuff, feel safe, and then we'll have a break where we can continue to clean and make sure everything's, aired out, and then the next group comes in. So that's kind of how we're looking at it.
I'm seeing some early guidelines that the recommendation is if you do open up, you have to open up at like 25 to 30% of your capacity,
Right.
which means you theoretically would need 2 to 3 times more classes on the schedule to be able to service the same amount of members, which is,
Right.
I don't know how that balance is going to get, how we're going to find that balance. There's going to be a lot of exploration to figure out, how many people are going to what times of classes, if people even like show back up, those kinds of
Hmm.
things. Um, but yeah, like, so I know people are going to be excited to come back to the gym. Um, what do you think the impact is on people adhering to a lot of these guidelines that are getting put in right now? These
Right.
early on suggested guidelines. I'm sure like this is going to change, in 2 weeks time or in a month time. But as the guidelines are kind of set right now, um, what do you think their experience is going to be like?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's a tough question, because as we start to have them come back in, obviously we're going to have to set the tone on the expectations of what we want them to do, as far as like cleanliness. Are you wiping down your equipment? Are you abiding by this 6-foot rule? Are you still high-fiving people? That's a tough one. I think that comes from a leadership role of how we set the tone, and how we, being super transparent with all our members, letting them know, for us to continue to operate, we're going to need them to really understand why we're doing the things that we are doing from a
And to
safety
buy in, right?
standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if they can buy into that and do it for us, so we can continue to operate, I think they'll be a little bit more flexible in their approach, because they know that this is important to them. They want to be here. So if they have to adapt a little bit, I think I think they'll be so excited to be in here anyway. They'll be willing to go above and beyond what they need to do to keep this place open.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, Kind of a segue. Do you guys have a target date of when you're able to open in limited
So
capacity?
yeah, well, our goal is May 3rd or May 4th. Okay, May the 4th be with you, right?
Fourth, because
So
May 5th
yeah,
is
because
Taco Tuesday.
yeah.
I've got that
So
circled on my calendar.
well, so Kansas has been telling us that May 3rd would be the last lockdown date, and then they would start to slowly unwind. Obviously, Johnson County, our county that we are in, just said that we have this 3-phased approach. So that was our day. We're basically just waiting on the county. So
Yeah.
it was May 4th. Now it might be. They said they'll slowly unwind this every 14 days. That the curve is starting to show that it's still flattening, and then so we could be May 28th by the time we get in, because if
Yeah.
they go to phase 2 on 14 days, then on May 28th is when we might be able to open, hopefully a little bit sooner. We've had a lot of members and a lot of our staff petition
Yeah.
Johnson County, so
I'm seeing a
hopefully
lot of
they
that on
listen to us.
Facebook.
Here's what's upsetting is, like, they're lumping us with something like a Lifetime Fitness, like a huge Globo gym that's got probably a couple 50,000 members, and we're here with 300 members,
Right.
and we're all class based. It's not really open gym or anything like that. It's not a bunch of people using equipment and then leaving. It's like structured. We have everything in place to stay within the CDC standards. It's just not fair to lump us, because we aren't a Globo gym. We're a micro
They
level
should
gym.
definitely segment the two different sectors from just access gyms to class-based gyms, because obviously class-based, there's a lot more control there.
Yeah, they're so fundamentally different too. It stinks, because they look at us like we're some huge Globo gym, and we're not. And
Right.
we have the ability to have a much more structured process, and being able to kind of filter our members in a totally different way than a gym with 50,000 members.
Yeah. Hey, one last question for you before we hop off.
Yeah.
If the lift was, or the closures were lifted, like next week,
Mm-hmm.
how close are you, or how ready are you guys to open, like facility wise? Are things laid out?
Yeah.
Do you have all the supplies that you need? Because I personally haven't looked into trying to procure a bunch of cleaning solutions, and I don't know if that's on back order, if there's just like it's hard to get those kinds of things. How ready are you guys to open up if you were given the green light next week or something?
Yeah. we're ready. Obviously, I've been ready since we closed. We do a pretty good job of keeping everything clean. We use a company called Zogix that gives us a ton of cleaning supplies with dispensers and all of that. Yeah, we're pretty ready to go. I've been, like I said, I've been ready since the day we closed. But I'd obviously have to lay out everything and tape down the floors just a little bit. But other than that, yeah, we're ready to go. Our schedule's ready to go. With the implemented of the 90-minute windows in between some of these classes. So it gives us the opportunity to kind of wipe things down and get things out of here, get people out of here and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm more than ready to get people back in here. However, I think it is important for gym owners to know that, like, if you're doing all this online content and you're doing a lot of these Zoom classes, keep doing that. I think that's going to be important. We just put out a survey for our gym, and we helped do the one with push press. So a lot of gyms are getting this really good data, but I think it's important to realize that there's still going to be members that are scared. And it's important to make them feel comfortable, but they might not be comfortable to come back in here. But you don't want to lose them as members, because obviously in our realm, they're important to us. They're like family. So we're going to continue to offer 2 Zoom classes a day. We'll continue to offer a lot of our individual design. So yes, it's important to get all our members back in here and make them feel safe and keep them healthy. But it's also important to target those members who aren't ready to come back in here, and they don't feel comfortable. So we want to continue to do what we're doing on kind of all those realms. And so we can just be successful that way.
That's a great point. It still just comes down to making sure you're serving your members, whether it's going to be in gym or out of the gym virtually. So that, I think, is a really good point to just bring back to light, because everyone now is so concerned with, let's get everyone back in the gym. And just realizing that not everyone's ready, so that's right. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that point up.
Yeah. I just don't want to, and this is just like directly to myself. Like, I don't want to ease up on the gas just because all my members are back into the brick and mortar. I think we're ahead of the game now. We have a really good opportunity presented in front of us and to get into the online market. And why wouldn't you want another revenue source?
Absolutely. So, you've already invested, you're, for better or worse, you were forced to, really develop this other channel, this other kind of revenue stream or, business model. It is such a great opportunity,
Yep.
Well, awesome, man. I know you got lots of things to do today. So thank you for jumping on the call with me today. Again, for anyone who's opening up in the next couple of weeks, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing. So TJ was able to share with us what the plans are for KCAC over here, or KSAC. I keep screwing that up.
All right.
So we'd love to hear what you guys are doing. All right. With that, we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.